Howdy, Coach.
Uh,
All right. First, we'll go to Travis Brown.
Hey, Coach, with a month off before in 2 practices and then getting 4 turnovers and 8 offensive rebounds, do you vying for a month off before the SEC tournament?
Travis, I don't know that anyone could predict what would happen tonight. Strategically, execution-wise, energy-wise, conditioning-wise, I thought our guys gave literally everything they had in their tank. I thought who they are as people and how their parents raised them was revealed from start to finish. I thought that the togetherness they played with, how they played for one another. I mean, obviously we played differently than we have played ever before. There's no way for us to have known how it would have been, because we've only had 10 guys eligible to practice since February the 1st on March the 1st. And so I just thought the effort they gave, the attitude in which they played, just incredibly thankful for the resilience they showed.
Yeah, and with sorry, getting a little feedback. With yeah, I forgot my question. Sorry. I'll check back.
All right, thanks, Travis. Next, we'll go to Olin.
Yeah, Buzz. Well, first of all, the way you guys started, it didn't look like a team that hadn't played for a while. But in that second half, is there any chance that, the fatigue was an issue? Maybe you already kind of addressed that, but do you think fatigue and conditioning was an issue especially on the defensive end in the second half?
Well, Olin, I don't want to justify losing. I understand that's how we'll be judged. But I do think that if you go 30 plus days and not play a game and you compete against someone who's been practicing and playing every day in those 30 days, regardless of who that opponent is, the rhythm that they're in as a team and the conditioning and routine that each individual is in is obviously dramatically different than the one that we're in. I didn't know, Olin, because this is unprecedented what has happened, but it's hard to know, right? Because we haven't had enough guys to play. We've played 4-minute games here and there the last 2 days, but even today in shoot around, the guys were excited. They were excited tonight in pregame, but there's so much emotion that we've all been through. And each of these guys have been through differing things during this break. And so they're all in different places mentally, emotionally, physically, not because it's they're trying to do anything wrong. It's just what has happened. And are we in great shape? Absolutely not. Do I think they literally emptied their gas tank? For sure. Are we going to be able to practice tomorrow? No. They're fried. They're cooked, as they should be. They gave everything they had in a 200-minute game. And we'll need every second between now and when we play on Saturday afternoon to be able to recover just from this, because we're not in the rhythm of let's play 2 games a week and practice 3.5 times a week. We're just, nobody's in that rhythm if you've been through what we've been through.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much for that, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Next, we'll go to Mike Lucas.
Hey, Coach, I know you didn't recruit all the seniors that were honored today, but I was hoping you could kind of give us a little insight into what this group has meant to you since you've been at A&M and kind of to this program as a whole.
I think I'll have great relationships with those guys when they're my age. The character specifically of Jay and Save, I mean, those guys didn't sign up to play for us, play for me. Coach Kennedy and his staff recruited those guys. They have represented our institution. Both those guys are going to graduate. I mean, they're not even having to take a full load in order to graduate on time. I hate that senior day had to be what it is this year because of the virus. But, again, it's not the perfect experience for a senior, but how each of those guys have handled it, I don't think they could have done any better as people and or as players. I forgot. I knew it before the game, and then I forgot as the game was going on because I wanted to make sure that I said it to him. But obviously, Save surpassed the 1,000 point mark tonight, which I think is always a good thing as a player. And so we gave him the 1,000 point game ball after the game in the locker room.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, next we go to Chip Howard.
Buzz, how much did their length bother you? That's a pretty long team when they put several guys in underneath.
Oh yeah, those I don't know if they're the biggest team in the country. Obviously, we haven't played every single team. I've watched most of them, but I know they have 2 of the top 4 rebounders in the league. I know they're amongst some of the best shot blocking teams in the country. Both of those guys, to some degree, they play what we would call fives. They play 2 5s at all times, and it puts stress on everybody. That's why they're so good on the glass. That's why they're such great rim protectors. Their ball screen coverage is very similar because you're going to have to beat them from the outside because you can't score at the rim. So obviously, for sure, yes, sir, their size bothered us for sure, but I think it's part of how they're built and what they're trying to accomplish.
You mentioned trying to get a little bit of rest before you have to go to Fayetteville and play on Saturday. That could be an easier task somehow, but I'm not sure how. And then you get a couple of 3 days before you go into the tournament. What do you think the after tonight, what their mental and physical abilities will be to get ready to play the tournament on, I think, as early as Wednesday, probably?
Yeah, again, Chip, I think we just try to take this kind of, as my grandmother would say, it's not day after day, it's night by day, day by night. This has been so unstable. And what we've tried to do is just do the best we could at that moment in time, specific to the things that we can control. Ultra vigilant relative to doing what's best for the safety and health of our guys. And at the same time, what can we do, whoever it is that can practice, whoever it is that can participate, what is it that we can do for each individual to give them their best chance? I don't think, Chip, tomorrow that physically our guys can do anything. We're going to have a mental practice and try to learn a little bit about what we did tonight for the first time, spend some extra time in the training room getting treatment, and then do a little bit of introduction on Arkansas. Obviously, they're one of the hotter teams in the country. And then we have to travel on Friday, so our day will be a little earlier than normal on Friday. And to be honest, in what I have planned, I think we have to take Sunday completely off, because your question is right. It's not just the physical part, because there's only so much you can do in a ramp up physically. We can't burn these guys out. They're not, this is not the typical, it's the first week of March and we've been playing without interruption. But the same is true mentally and emotionally. And I think that's the thing that's difficult to juggle in all of this, is every kid's kind of in a different place. And with them collectively, what is best that we can do? What is best that we can do on the court, offensively, defensively? What is best that we can do in preparation for an opponent? We'll work on Monday, and then we'll work again early on Tuesday, because I think that we get a short period of time in the arena late Tuesday afternoon, and we don't get to go back in there, obviously, until tip time on Wednesday. But I'm not dodging the question. I'm just not sure that I know how this is going to play out, because we're not in any sort of rhythm or any sort of routine. I had planned to do individual workouts tomorrow, and I told the kids, we can't do that. I knew we wouldn't be able to practice, but I don't even think that we can do individual workouts because I think what their body just went through is more than what their body has been through since January the 30th. And what transpired in February does not allow their body to just go day after day.
A lot of teams would have mailed it in, Buzz. Let's be honest.
Yes,
They're
sir.
2-6. They've been off a month. You spoke to it when you sat down, but what does it say about their character that they weren't willing to do that?
That's the only thing, Chip, that I talked about in the locker room. There's every reason that is justifiable to not give your best. There's every reason that's justifiable to make this a selfish, this is about me. Why did this happen? And I don't think that there was a visible sign nor a word in their body language, in their tone of voice. I thought what they did was remarkable. I wish we would have won and been rewarded for that intangible that I thought was apparent, whether you were at the game or not. I understand that I'll be judged relative to winning and losing, but in many respects, I thought we won tonight relative to giving our absolute best. And I haven't been sleeping a lot. And so when normally I write everything down, but when my wife's asleep, I just type it in my phone. And I read some of my notes to the kids in the locker room about, can we give our best, because the contest is really us against us. And then with each rep of giving our best, how can we figure out how to have maximum efficiency within that rep? You saw it, Chip, like everything we did tonight, there was like 6% on both ends that we've ever done before. And so the mental requirement to be able to do that, in addition to the physical requirement to be able to do that. And then when you add in the emotional component of all that has taken place, I got emotional in the locker room, and I'm just as fried as our guys are because of all that's happened. But I just have so much respect for the character that they showed.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Buzz.
All right, last question to Travis Brown.
Hey, Coach, sorry for my brain fart earlier. You talk about what you've been able to do and what you haven't been able to do in practice. Contested layups, you're 8 for 19 at layups. Is that just one of those kind of game type things you can't necessarily replicate?
Well, I thought that I'm not sticking up for our guys. I did think that there were some layups that we typically make that we didn't make tonight. I actually think that there were some shots that we typically shoot, and I know that we're not a great shooting team, but that we would typically make. We shot more balls tonight than we've shot all year long. It's the highest number we shot 20 more balls than they did. That hasn't happened all year long. A lot of that is because it was the lowest turnover rate of the year. And a lot of that is it was the highest number of offensive rebounds in an SEC game for us this year. But I do think that there were some bunnies that we normally make. And I do think that there were some uncontested shots that in a normal rhythm that we would have made a higher percentage of.
And then I know there's a lot going on and there's a lot of extenuating circumstances, but when you have a guy like Savion and a guy like JJ, who were a part of the Sweet 16 team, and the 3 seniors who were part of last year's team, is it a little disappointing for you as a coach that the senior night, there wasn't that many people in the stands? And kind of what does it say about those guys that they did put forth that effort when, it was a little bit of a meager senior night for whatever reason?
I think I can't disagree, Travis, with any of that. I think the thing this was the 14th senior night I've been a part of as a head coach. And obviously it was the first one where you're waving at the parents in the stands and they're showing them on the Jumbotron, because relative to the protocols, that was what we were allowed to do. And that was the best that we could do. I think it's just another example of all of the extenuating circumstances that have transpired over the last 11 months. And one circumstance kind of bleeds to another one, to another one, to another one. And I don't think that that's specific to basketball. I just think it's what all of us have been through. And the resolve or the resiliency as each circumstance continues to change, you begin to be somewhat numb to, oh, well, this is just another thing, right, to the circumstance. And so for those guys to respond the way that they did in the ceremony, in the game, at halftime, at shoot around today, I just think it speaks to who they are.
Thanks, Coach.
Sorry, Coach. One more question from Daryl Bruffett.
Yeah, don't cut off my man Bruffett. That's my boy.
I appreciate that. I just wanted to ask you, and I've got to go jump on the air, but can you talk about how your guys played in terms of 4 turnovers and the fact that you haven't practiced in a month, played in a month together? That's just unfathomable, isn't it? It goes to the point of how your guys just kind of said, hey, we're just going to play the best we can with what we got.
I think it's exactly what it was. Some of that, Daryl, you just went off the screen. Maybe you got to go to the interview. Why don't you say this on your show? It may mean that Buzz can't coach because we were practicing and turning it over at a much higher rate. And then when we're not practicing, we turn it over at a much lower rate. So maybe it's bad coaching. So I would put that on me. But I agree with you. I thought the swag that they played with all the new plays, with all the new stuff we're doing defensively, with all the unique combinations of groupings of personnel that we're playing with, man, I don't think you could have asked more relative to the energy in which that they competed. And for us to only have 4 turnovers, it was a 62 possession game. I think that's a little high relative to what we have been through. It was probably a little too fast, but for us to have the lowest turnover rate, I think in a non-conference game last year, Daryl, I think we had 4 turnovers. We could have had 5. So this either tied or was the lowest turnover mark since we've been here. I mean, it was almost kind of Mike Bray, Notre Dame. We never turned the ball over.
Congratulations on your effort. Good luck against Arkansas, and thank you for taking my question.
I saw you with the bad body language when Brandon cut you off and gave Travis double question. I'm for you. I'm for all you guys. I'm for the media.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
You guys.